It's been a while, but it's great to welcome you back to that Grassroots Ramble. I can't believe, Charlotte, it's been, I think, March 2020 we were in the studio last. It's been quite the year, hasn't it?
It really, truly has. I'm so happy to not only be back in the studio, but to see Grassroots Football return, players back playing where they should be on the football pitch, and hopefully it's only good times ahead. And I know lots of us really do value football now. We've had it kind of taken away for us from so long. And rumour has it, amongst all the changes that have gone on in the last 18 months, that you're retiring from playing.
I am, yep. Getting a bit long in the tooth for football now. I think it's time to knock it on the head. But yeah, it was odd. I extended I was going to retire a year earlier, extended it a little bit because of the first pandemic or the first lockdowns. It was a bit strange going to football in your full kit and going home in a muddy kit rather than being able to use the changing facilities and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I think I've turned my attention now to my young lads playing football. How about you? Good to be back?
Yeah, so good to be back. Loving watching. I retired a long time ago, but it's been brilliant, like watching the Euros, having that as a real catalyst for the return of football. And of course, the Euros is probably where we should start.
Good subject to talk about.
Yeah, start the ramble. I mean, I was absolutely hooked. We asked you to get in touch with your top Euro 2020 moments, and we weren't disappointed with the answers that we got back.
No, we got lots of great emails, and it wasn't always about moments in football, which we expected, it would have been a certain goal or, a certain moment in a match. But no, lots of you just pleased to see fans back at stadiums. And then we had a number of saying how great it was for, the reaction of young kids as well, didn't we?
Well, that's the whole point of these big tournaments, isn't it? It's to inspire from the very top elite international stage to the grassroots game, which is where we love it so much. And I understand that your boys were gripped by the tournament.
Yeah, I've got a 6-year-old Jake, and he was probably the first tournament he'll remember. My God, absolutely buzzing, wearing his kit every day. I've heard Three Lions far too much. But yeah, great experience for the first time with the boys. And there were some great moments on there, and there were some clear favourites, weren't there?
There certainly were, and obviously quite a lot of your responses tended to revolve around the England's team. Obviously Gareth Southgate guiding England to their first final in far too long. Well, one of the moments was England beating Denmark to reach the final first of all. Second up was Luke Shaw's goal in the opening 2 minutes of that final against Italy. But there was one clear winner, and that was England getting on over their old rivals, Germany, and winning that game and winning it in such style. But Jason, what was your moment of the tournament?
I was really torn between the Germany win and the Luke Shaw goal. But for me, for the pure elation in the moment, had to be the Luke Shaw goal. Dream start, and we've definitely got a really bright future with this young squad. Such an exciting day, and that summer just brought so much joy to the nation after the last sort of 18 months. How about you? Favourite moment?
So my favourite moment doesn't have anything to do with the England team, which I don't know if that makes me very unpatriotic, but I absolutely loved the knockout game between Switzerland and France. France, one of my favourites for the tournament. I thought they'd do really well, obviously being the world champions, but watching the game as well, the way the momentum swung, 6 goals, the Swiss just didn't. They didn't give up, and I think they epitomised everything that tournament football is all about. That, and closely following behind that, the opening moment from the opening game between Italy and Turkey. All this tension in the stadium, the Italian national anthem, bringing all this drama for a tiny little robotic car
to
drive onto the pitch. Yeah, it was brilliant, and I think it really set the tone for the tournament.
Yeah, it certainly did. And so many great moments, but we can't really talk about this Euros without talking about Christian Eriksen, can we, and his sudden cardiac arrest and subsequently collapsing on the pitch. Pretty shocking, that one, wasn't it, in the opener against Finland?
I don't think there's any football fan across Europe, across the world, that didn't see those scenes and find them truly terrifying. Obviously, thankfully, Eriksen made a full recovery. He was given the best world-class treatment on the pitch and in the weeks after it as well. Back with his club,
Smiles this week,
back returning to training, which is phenomenal. But what it does show, and what is identified, is a need within the grassroots and non-professional game. He was lucky; he had a defib. Not a lot of clubs do, and it's been a real kind of talking point, and the game has responded positively.
It has. It's quite scary, isn't it, in England, that the survival rate for someone with a cardiac arrest is less than 1 in 10. It's 9.4%. So, yeah, those defibrillators that have been promised will certainly make a difference to have that life-saving equipment in clubs.
Yeah, and it has been really good to see the way that the Premier League's reacted. They've put a lot of funding to support the grassroots games. I think there's already 1,000 defibrillators that have scattered across all the Football Foundation facilities, with more to come. The FA is also offering a free online course because, as we know, being like people that love the grassroots game, it depends on volunteers. Lots of whom have done first aid qualifications that need refreshers, but there will be lots of kind of free online resources which we will link in the description of the video as well.
Definitely will. Some great news in there tackling sudden cardiac arrest. Now, sticking with player health is something we've talked about in the past, and that's heading the football. And in a previous episode, we talked about youth football and the guidelines that came out last year from the FA. And I think it's good to see recently now we've seen a full set of guidelines only in recent weeks, where they're actually setting things out not just for youth but for amateur, grassroots football and the pro level of the game.
Well, like you said at the start, there's been a lot happened in the last 18 months, and this is a significant change once again for the whole football pyramid. These new rules and legislations and guidance not only affect the pros but your grassroots training as well, although there is more onus on kind of grassroots players to sort of monitor the amount of times that they head the ball. It's a big thing for coaches to go away and have to read up on and look at how they modify their sessions. But I think given the amount of campaigning and new research that's gone into the risks of heading the ball in training, campaigners like Dawn Esley, the daughter of the late Jeff Esley, who sadly passed away due to a brain condition that he inherited from his playing days, you've got to put player welfare first and take away any sort of risk if you can mitigate against it. So I think ultimately it's a positive move.
Definitely. Now, it wouldn't be a ramble without one of our polls, would it? Now, because of, I hate to bring up the dreaded subject of COVID, but obviously we do need to. And we asked you in the poll, has the pindemic had a negative effect, a negative impact on your pre-season player and coach availability? And as usual, you didn't disappoint, and the results were as follows. So yes, it has had an impact, 55%, and no, 45%. And on the face of it, it looks quite close, doesn't it? But actually, that's a large volume of clubs that are getting affected by the pindemic, as we're calling it.
Yeah, I think we all kind of were returning back to football, looking forward to our sessions, and then obviously with the apps and so on, and lots of particularly youth football coaches, teams, clubs really affected. If one person got sick, obviously the whole team had to isolate, which is not the ideal pre-season preparations. No. But I think hopefully, fingers crossed, with the vaccination rollout that's been deemed so successful in the country, hopefully that combined with new rule changes in August might mean, fingers crossed, that the football season this season can be fluid, because it has been really devastating, not only from a point of view of not being able to play, but for a lot of our clubs who rely on the income that's generated from pitch hire and so on. Hopefully that 55% will reduce over the few months and it won't carry on affecting the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we found from the emails as well was lots of the more rural clubs weren't so affected, but in the more built-up areas, definitely they were saying they've had some terrible problems with coaches being pinged, and then subsequently lots of players have had to isolate as well, and just really interrupting pre-season plans. Yeah,
it's an absolute nightmare. The only ping that we want is the ping of more subscriptions for that Grassroots Ramble, because that's about all we have time for our summer catch-up.
That's right. So make sure you subscribe so you get all the latest episodes from that Grassroots Ramble, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a ramble.